The ending of an anime is arguably the most important part of the entire story. Well, in today's video, my name is Birthroad, and it's a Tuesday, and we're going to be ranking the best anime endings that I personally know about and have seen. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. So our tiers here are pretty simple. We have perfect, good, mid, bad, and why. Why being like, why did they do that for the ending? You know, I don't really get it. So to start off with, we have Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and I'm going to put it in good. I know a lot of people really love this ending, but to me, I do enjoy it, which is why it's going into good, because it is a good ending. But many people would definitely consider it perfect. My reasoning for not putting it perfect is because I feel like David, what he does doesn't really make sense. Like, it does, but it doesn't. I feel like it's kind of misinterpreted by a lot of people because he is just genuinely going crazy, and he says he's doing shit for Lucy, but he's not. He's just an egotistical maniac, honestly. But a lot of people see it as like a sweet gesture, so I feel like it just gets misinterpreted, so I feel like it can't be perfect if not everybody's on the same page. And also, he's supposed to be a smart character, and he ends up doing a bunch of dumb shit at the end, which makes it good in my opinion, but I've gotten to plenty of arguments with people where they're like, he wasn't dumb in what he did and stuff like that, but no, he was pretty freaking stupid, not gonna lie. But we'll move on to Samurai Champloo. I'm gonna put it in good as well. I don't think as good as the Cyberpunk ending in my opinion, but it is still pretty solid. I think the only problem with the ending of Samurai Champloo is that they do kind of split up. Obviously there are gonna be spoilers in this video, I forgot to mention, but obviously there's gonna be spoilers because it is talking about endings. And with Samurai Champloo, they like split up at the end, and we don't really know like what happens to them after. Which you don't always need to, but I feel like they went through this whole journey together, and then they split up, and it's like, do they ever see each other again? I mean, what happens next? Mugen could die, like, the next day. Like, I feel like it would be a little bit better to know they at least stayed together. I think that would have made it a lot better, but the fact that they split up was a little weird to me. If you're enjoying this video and you enjoy anime content, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hype the video, help me out. I upload anime videos 3 times a week. Also, I have my Discord in the description where we can talk about anime if you want to join that. Once we have 50 members, I'm going to be doing a video with you guys. But let's continue to Jujutsu Kaisen here, which I don't know why I have this in the ending thing. I'm not really going to talk about it since it's a manga ending. I don't know why I had that on here. I apologize, but I'm going to put it in mid. I thought the manga ending was pretty mid. Not going to go into detail because I don't want to spoil anything. Next up, we have Cowboy Bebop. I'm going to put it in perfect. I think it's going to be the first ending to go into perfect here. Honestly, it was like kind of the first ending of its kind. The main character losing, I guess, technically. Like, he loses. A lot of the crew kind of finding their own way in life, splitting up. It was actually like a sad but beautiful ending. And I feel like a lot of times when you do sad endings, they're normally not really beautiful. They're kind of just sad. Like, for example, the David one. It was kind of just sad. It wasn't really beautiful in any way. But the Cowboy Bebop one was very beautiful in the way it ended. But it was also very sad. So I think it was done perfectly because you have a feel-good ending that also feels bad. And that is very hard to do. And I feel like Cowboy Bebop was the first anime to ever really accomplish that. Also, if you're wondering why this video is a little bit shorter, I was planning to do a massive tier list, but it actually is so freaking big that I would not have been able to get it out on time. So I do apologize for that. We are going to have a short one today, but next week expect a really long tier list. Next up, though, we have Demon Slayer. This is another one that is manga only. I'm going to put it in mid as well. Again, don't know why I have it on here. I made this list a long time ago and updated it, but I didn't realize they were there, so I do apologize for that. Just ignore that. Next, we have Fullmetal. This is another perfect ending. I don't think quite as good as Cowboy Bebop, but man, the emotion in this ending was also amazing. It's really a feel-good ending. Like, by definition, just feel-good ending. It's honestly not the craziest ending ever, but it's very feel-good, and there's nothing wrong with it, so I feel like it has to go into perfect. I don't really think you could complain about the ending of Fullmetal. Genuinely beautiful. Next up, we have Fire Force. I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed the ending of Fire Force, if I have to be honest with you. I am just going to put it at the top of good, because I think the best part about it is that it leads into the Soul Eater universe and things of that nature and stuff like that. But I guess the one part I would say I didn't like about it is that how it's kind of just about Shinra at the end. Yes, Arthur was very important too, but at the end it's pretty much just Shinra, honestly. And even though Sho and his mom are supposed to be important, it's still just Shinra. So I do think, you know, people may think that that's kind of a dumb reason, but I like when a lot more of the cast are involved in the ending. So yeah, I still think it was very good. That's why it's going at the top of good, but yeah, I think it does have slight issues. Next we have Trigon. This is another one I'm going to put into perfect. I'm going to put it behind Full Metal though, and the reason why is because it's kind of similar to a Samurai Champloo ending, except it like says what happens. Like they do end up going together afterwards, and it kind of explains what the rest of the world is going to look like. So I feel like it did what Samurai Champloo did, but instead of splitting them up and not really explaining, they kept them together and did explain. So I think that is literally perfect. So again, if Samurai Champloo, if they stayed together, it probably would have been imperfect. I just didn't like that they split up for no real reason. Next up, though, we have Yu Yu Hakusho. I think a lot of people hate on the Yu Yu Hakusho ending, and personally, I don't really get it. I think it's good. I'm going to put it above Cyberpunk Edgerunners. And whenever I hear people talk about why it's bad, they always talk about the tournament. The tournament is not the ending of the show. It just quite literally isn't. The ending is him reuniting with Keiko, and even if you want to include the tournament in that ending, the tournament's not bad. People complain that they didn't animate all the fights or whatever. We didn't need to see it. There was no point to do that. I get a lot of people wanted it because the Dark Tournament was so good, but there really wasn't a point story-wise to have those fights in there. Yeah, would it have been cool to see? Sure, but story-wise, honestly, it didn't really have an impact. So I don't really get the people that complain about that. In my opinion, I don't think it matters at all. Plus, not even the ending. So yeah, I'm going to put it in good. Next, we have Ghost in the Shell. This is another pretty good ending. You know, it's for the movie, it was very good. It was like kind of a discovering of oneself, which was pretty nice. I like that a lot. And after reading some of the manga and stuff, I do think this movie is definitely better than the manga. But you know, that's besides the point. Yeah, but the ending Ghost in the Shell was pretty solid. Next, we'll move on to GTO. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's bad. I think last time I did this video, which was a very long time ago, I probably might have had it higher. But I'm not gonna lie, after doing more research, I am not a big fan of how this ended at all. GTO is kind of just an excerpt of like the actual manga. Like the anime barely takes up any of the manga whatsoever. So for me, the reason why I'm going to put GTO in bad is because he does like leave everybody and ends up going to a new place and ends up teaching again or whatever. I think he's teaching like criminals. I can't remember exactly. And I don't really get it because the story doesn't actually end there. So I don't know. You know, it was just ended to end for an ending's sake. So I think that's why it's going to go into bad. Next up, we have Death Parade. This is another pretty good one. I'll put it behind Fire Force. I think the ending of this was great, seeing Decim discover his humanity. However, the reason why it's not going to go into perfect is because they show stuff literally in the last episode that doesn't get explained, and there's no manga, so you can't get an explanation. They're not continuing the show. I don't really get it. They showed a lot of stuff with the Oasis guy. I think that's his name, or Oracle, something like that. I can't remember. Him doing some weird stuff, and that never gets explained. So that's the reason why it's not perfect, is because they show shit in the last episode that just doesn't matter. So yeah. Next up, we have My Hero. I do think the My Hero ending was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's perfect by any means, but I did enjoy the My Hero ending. I don't know. It's hard for My Hero ending to be perfect for me because I'm not the biggest fan of Deku, so maybe that's why. But I thought it was great, and I thought the fact that it involves multiple characters is awesome, like Bakugo getting in the final arc, which obviously Bakugo is going to be there because he's the GOAT. But I did think it was pretty good, so pretty good ending for My Hero. Next, we have Code Geass. I'd put Code Geass in perfect. I'd put it at number 1 for now. I'm not sure if it's going to stay there, but it is one of the greatest endings in anime history. To this day, I'm not sure if there's another ending even similar to it. Like, the way it ends is pretty unique. I don't think there has been one as unique and as good, if that makes sense. Like we talked about, the Cowboy Bebop was the first of its kind, so was Code Geass. I do think the Code Geass one is slightly better though, but yeah, it really feels like a first of its kind. Next up, we have Mob Psycho. This is probably the only ending that can compete with Code Geass, and Code Geass is tough because I think like on paper it definitely has a better ending, but I do think I'm going to give it to Mob Psycho. The reason being, I don't think any ending will be as emotional as the Mob Psycho ending, and I don't see how you can argue that just because it's written better doesn't mean that, like, that doesn't override emotion, right? Like, emotion is the strongest thing you can feel as a human, and so if you're feeling more emotion from one than the other, then that one should be better, right? And don't get me wrong, felt a lot of emotion from the Code Geass ending, but not nearly the amount of the Mob Psycho ending. By far the most emotional ending in anime I have ever seen. So the Code Geass one, yeah, probably objectively is written better, but the Mob Psycho one is way more emotional, so I'm going to put it ahead. Next, we have Assassination Classroom. This was a pretty good ending, not going to lie. I'm going to put it right above Ghost in the Shell. It was pretty emotional. It was pretty solid. It was not bad, right? Honestly, the only memorable part of Assassination Classroom, in my opinion, is the ending. So, yeah, I think it was pretty good. Next up, we have Naruto. This is going to be our first one in the Y tier because why? I feel like this show could have just ended with Madara and it would have been perfectly fine, but the fact that they wanted to go to Kaguya makes no sense whatsoever. I have no idea why they wanted to add Kaguya, because she was fucking terrible and she was horrible. I think everybody agrees Kaguya sucks. Actually, it's not true, because one time I talked about Kaguya and someone in the comments was a big fan of her for some reason. Don't understand that. Must just be an Anime Vanguards player who's never watched the show. That's the only reasoning that I could ever see for anybody to like Kaguya. But I think a lot of people be like, oh, well, then Kaguya sets up like Boruto and stuff like that. But at that time, he didn't want to do anything after Naruto Shippuden. So I don't understand why he wrote Kaguya. If you didn't plan on continuing the story, why write in Kaguya? Who gives a shit? Because nobody liked her. She was terrible. And honestly, in my opinion, Naruto is the greatest show ever. But it has one of the worst endings ever. If you give Naruto a good ending, I genuinely think it is a perfect show. But the fact that the ending is not good is the reason we have no perfect shows. Next, we'll move on to Soul Eater. Now, the Soul Eater one is tough. I actually do think it is going to be worse than Naruto, which I think many people may find crazy. I don't know. But my reasoning for putting Soul Eater behind Naruto is because it genuinely makes no sense, just like the Naruto one, and it is just way worse. At least with Naruto, I can get them wanting to fight another big bad boss, although it was terrible. The Soul Eater one is stupid. It was like, oh, I'm more brave than you. That's why I win. Dumbest shit I ever heard, and doesn't even make sense, even if it, like, wasn't the dumbest shit ever. It doesn't make sense, because the reason why Mako wins is because she is so brave. You're telling me Black Star and Death weren't brave? They put their life on the line while Mako was doing jack shit, but they're not brave. Black Star wasn't brave, even though he charged in head first, not knowing if anybody would be in there. He's not brave? Like, really? Maka's the only brave one? That makes no sense. It genuinely makes zero sense whatsoever. If the case was being bravery, Black Star would have beat him easily in a 1v1. Black Star is not scared of anything. He has bravery throughout the entire show. That's like his whole character. The ending of Soul Eater makes zero sense. Now, I know it's not the manga ending. I don't know what the manga ending is, but the anime ending just sucks. Like, the bravery shit makes no sense whatsoever. None at all. I really don't get it. It makes zero sense. But we'll move on to Pluto. I do think Pluto is a pretty good ending. It's not really like a feel good, honestly, but it's kind of like, how do I explain it? It's a feel good and a feel bad. Not like the way it is in Cowboy Bebop, where, you walk away being like, dang, okay. But it's more like a lot of bad stuff happens in the ending and a lot of good stuff happens. So you walk away with the overall, like, okay, the world may be better now. But then you're like, but what did it cost, So it is a pretty good ending. I think the reason why I would not have it higher is maybe because it's a little basic, I feel like, and having a lot of the important characters that people grew to love not be there in the end is a little tragic as well, but it was still very good. And then we have Erased. Erased is very difficult. I'm actually going to put it in mid. I like Erased a lot. I think it has a great emotion and everything like that, but the reason I'm going to put it in mid is because it is pretty predictable and it's very basic. It has decent emotion in it and stuff, but it's honestly just pretty basic. Also, the ending has to do with memory loss, which I hate memory loss, and that's probably the real reason it's going into mid and not good. But yeah, definitely has good emotion and stuff, but yeah, kind of basic, not gonna lie. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hype the video. I upload anime videos 3 times a week, so I would love to see you guys again. Hope you enjoyed. See you guys Thursday. Peace.